the environment while still providing solution, while still providing value, while still, making your money. You're also enabling and, supporting the environment. So that is the concept of a sustainable business model.
B Corp is a certificate which proves that as a business, you have considered more than just the profits. And then here we have two. We have Growth Mosaic, who have worked quite closely with us in the past, and Peg Africa, who are a solar business here as well. So that is like a bit of a broad overview on what a B Corp is.
Sustainable packaging is simply packaging that over time reduces its environmental footprint. Okay, and there is a confusion between sustainable packaging and sustainable package design. You understand? You can, if you tag your product as eco-friendly, it's not necessarily sustainable. Let me explain. If you package your product in, let's say, paper packaging, and the paper package is really not sourced ethically, even though the paper package is eco-friendly, it's not ethical, it's not sustainable, because trees are being cut to produce paper. But if the paper packaging that you utilize is actually made from reclaimed paper waste from these book producing factories, then your packaging has been sustainably designed.
Fair trade prefer to support disadvantaged businesses or producers than to support advantaged businesses. So likewise, they expect our business to focus on disadvantaged people than advantaged people. Okay. What do we see in Ghana? Can someone tell me what we see in Ghana about our business? What do we see in Ghana? In Ghana, we prefer giving advantage to people who already have the opportunity, while we left the disadvantage behind. So this is what fair trade looks at. Fair trade always puts people first. There's a term we use. They say people, the planet before profit. So we put people first and environment, then we think about profit.
What is remote work for a company? The first thing that we need to be able to understand is going remote does not necessarily mean going digital. Going digital can, of course, help you to be able to go remote faster, but it's important for us to understand the difference. And in terms of remote work, what is remote work? Remote work for me is the ability to focus on productivity over presence, to focus on the ability to create value, to collaborate on a value proposition irrespective of our geographical location.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining us. Thank you so much for joining day 6. I can't believe it's day 6 already of the Eco Business Capacity Building Program. I'm really excited to have you all here today. My name is Shin. For those of you who haven't seen me or who doesn't know me, today is the first day you're joining the session. My name is Chinenwa Koronu. I'm the founder and managing director of the Waste to Create Hub. The Waste to Create Hub is the initiator of the Circular Place project in collaboration with the MasterCard Foundation, and we welcome all of you here. Please utilize the chat to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're joining us from as we're about to kickstart the training officially. Just a few program etiquettes. Please keep your mic off if you're not speaking, and like I'd like to say to everyone, our sessions are very interactive, okay? We do not want to be presenting and you just sitting back and listening. We want you to talk to us, share with us, engage our speakers, talk to them, get clarity from them, make sure that you utilize the time that you have with the speakers, because they're highly sought after experts in their field. If you have to go to them one-on-one, you pay so much money, and we're presenting it to you here for no cost. So please take advantage of the opportunity. If you can turn on your video, please do give us a nice look. Beautiful ladies and gentlemen, please, you can turn on your video so that we can see your faces. Test your internet. For some of us that probably our internets are not stable, make sure that you test your internet before you join the call. For those who are in the call, make sure that your internet is stable. If you must speak, make sure that you have a quiet place and there's no noise coming on from the background. And we like to be very inclusive, so please be respectful in the chat. If someone says something that you do not like, you don't have to, talk over the person, so please be respectful. If you want to ask questions, there are reactions button in the Zoom. Please do well to raise your hands, or if probably someone says something you like, you can use the clap button, etc. So just to dive right straight to it and give you a little bit of context about what you have missed. When I say missed, I mean you have really missed. The past 6 days has been impactful, insightful, and informative. We've had several speakers from different areas. We've talked about sustainable business models. We've talked about eco packaging and aesthetics. We've talked about being a B Corp business. We talk about fair trade, principles of fair trade, and the benefits for you eco entrepreneurs and also for businesses in general. Today, we're kicking off today's session, with an amazing thought leader. But before I introduce him to you, I'd like to let you know that today we have 2 sessions. From 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., we'll be talking about workable entrepreneurial skills. And then from 4 to 6, we'll be talking about scaling up your sales process. So please, you do not have to miss this session. So kindly stay tuned, grab a tea, grab coffee, grab water. I have my water here, so that's to tell you how ready I am for today's session. And then we'll begin. But let me go ahead and introduce to you our first speaker for today. Our first speaker for today is none other than Dr. Bruce Dumans. Dr. Bruce is the managing partner for the innovative advisory firm. Is a strategic consultant based in the United States, but has extensive background working globally with SMEs and MSMEs in social impact, fintech, and education sectors. His exceptional business acumen is derived from nearly 20 years of corporate American experience in person education, Coca-Cola, Fila USA, etc., and a slew of academic awards, including the Doctor of Business Administration, an MBA in Strategy, and the Masters of Project Management. He is a mentor to aspiring young entrepreneurs like myself, and he's taking us every day on how we can continue to make dough. And he's a best-selling author, of Making Dough, Young Entrepreneur's Tale, and the book that teaches young adults about the nuisances of entrepreneurship. With your virtual clap, please let's welcome Dr. Bruce Dumans joining us all the way from USA. I know it's very early there. We really appreciate you for making the time to join today's session, and we welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm unmuting and I'm going to share my screen. And pull up a presentation. Okay, so good morning, or I'm sorry, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great day so far. Please excuse me, I am fighting allergies here in the US right now. The weather has changed from winter to spring finally. And unfortunately, there's a lot of pollen in the air, so I'm very congested. But I will try to kind of work through this, this 2-hour session. The presentation will not be 2 hours, but it will give us an opportunity to hopefully answer a lot of questions at the end of this. So because I wasn't sure exactly where everyone is in their entrepreneurial journey, we're going to start at a very foundational level and kind of build up to some more complex concepts. So can everyone see the screen? All right. So like Chichi said, my name is Bruce Dumans. I am the managing partner of the Innovative Advisory Firm. It's a strategy consulting firm here in the United States. We do a lot of strategy support for organizations. We provide market intelligence. We do, conduct organizational and strategy reviews for a number of companies, nonprofits, SMEs, that kind of thing. We do a lot of work, not just here in the US, but quite a bit of work on the continent. So Rwanda, Kenya, Zambia, Angola, Egypt, kind of been all over the continent, particularly over the last 4 or 5 years. And haven't been over on the continent since last February, obviously due to COVID, but looking forward to getting back there this summer. Just like most of you guys, I am an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Not only do I own the consulting firm, I have stakes in a number of other organizations, a cybersecurity firm. We have a stake in an esports agency. We have a stake in an embroidery and print screen business. And then most recently, we have launched an online platform to teach entrepreneurship courses to people online. So, and it's called the Innovations Factory. And you'll see some of the content here fairly soon. So that's who I am. Now in the chat, I hope you guys saw the polls, but really I was trying to get a sense of, you know, how big some of your businesses are and kind of where you are in your entrepreneurial journey. But we'll try and come back to that. So, so today we have a few things we want to talk about. We're going to talk about, you know, the entrepreneur. You know, are you ready? Let me make sure I minimize that. Sorry. Okay. The digital marketplace. We'll talk about globalization, and then we'll talk about your focus area or potential focus areas moving forward. And then we'll have some time to do some question and answers. So again, I want to start from the base level, a very foundational level. You know, what is entrepreneurship? You know, it's everything that goes into, you know, creating, launching, and managing a business, right? And why is that important? Because those businesses that entrepreneurs start, these small businesses, you know, contribute to almost 50% of our global GDP. So these businesses are important. The businesses that you guys have are launching or have recently launched are critical to managing the world at almost 50% of the GDP. These are not large companies that do this. These are a lot of small businesses. And so, does entrepreneurship work? Yes, there are plenty of examples of entrepreneurs that are successful, and we know these names, we've seen these faces, and obviously these are the big dogs in the entrepreneurial world, but they are out there, and these are beacons for us to kind of look towards and get excited about. But entrepreneurship is hard. The life of an entrepreneur is very difficult. You see the image on the left. If you go to a corporate job, you kind of just keep going around the wheel all day long, every day, and it might be boring, but it's nothing like trying to be an entrepreneur and really get your startup off the ground. And it feels like you are forever trying to lift that startup off the ground. So for those of you guys that have already started your journey, believe me, I appreciate the stress that it causes, because really not every story is a success story when it comes to entrepreneurship. If you look at the right, you can see around 37% of startups fail, usually due to a lack of capital or profitability. 4 out of 5 startups fold within the first 3 years. And these are global numbers. So if you are in this room right now and there are 5 entrepreneurs, the statistics say that only one of you guys are going to make it beyond 3 years. Solopreneurs often fail to gain traction or funding from banks and investors. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. I believe Chi-Chi had mentioned it in one of the videos. Investors want to see a team of entrepreneurs working together to really try to accomplish a goal. And then 75% of startups backed by venture capitalists fail. So these are startups that were able to do all the things they needed to do to get someone to actually invest in them, and they still failed at a 75% rate. This just shows you just how difficult entrepreneurship is hard, or how hard entrepreneurship is. And I don't say this to discourage you. I say this to shine light on the realities of entrepreneurship, so that as you are either beginning your journey or within your journey, you know where you are, or you know where you need to be. So common mistakes of entrepreneurs. I had mentioned it just a second ago. Single founder. A team of founders is always preferred by investors and banks, because it demonstrates that you have the ability to lean on someone else, someone else's strengths, and when you're having challenges. Having no specific user in mind. This happens all the time. We create this awesome product and we're ready to go, and then we really haven't focused in on a target market, and we're just selling just to sell, but we don't actually know who we're targeting and who we are being very specific about our product. Half-hearted efforts. We've all seen this. We see people who want to be entrepreneurs and they're like, yeah, I run my own business, but then they're kind of in it, they're kind of not in it. This half-hearted effort, it just doesn't fly. Spending too much. So as an investor myself, the one thing that I know I always look for, and when I speak to other investors, they look for, are the founders frugal with their money? Are they constantly spending their money, or are they actually holding tight and making sure that every dollar they put in, they know what the return on investment is going to be? And not wanting to get your hands dirty. These are another common mistake. Let me tell you something. If you are an entrepreneur, you do everything. You are the marketing person, you are the salesperson, you are the cleaning person, you are everything in your business. And I don't care how many new employees you get, you are everything. So, don't forget that. Other mistakes that entrepreneurs typically make: not knowing the value of your solution, of the solution that you bring to customers. I cannot stress how important that is, to understand the value proposition you deliver to the market, more so than just having a solution to the market, but having a value proposition to the market. So for instance, if the problem is, oh, we have to have something for people to eat, that's great. Everyone can come up with a pizza or a taco stand or what have you. But the value that you might bring is you have a vegan menu that addresses the vegetarian market, and that's the value you bring to the market. Understanding that your value proposition is bigger than just a solution to customers, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't know what their value proposition is. So focus on that when you are building out your business plan or what have you, and you're describing your solution. Make sure you're describing your value proposition. Hiring the most qualified person instead of the one that you get along with. Look, I've hired a lot of employees, and I will tell you that I've had employees that have Ivy League degrees. They've gone to Wharton, and I've realized I just didn't like them at some point. And therefore the relationship doesn't work. Hire people that you like. Hire people that you can get along with, because when times get rough, you need to have someone that you can trust and that you can bounce ideas off of, and that you are comfortable with doing that. If you're not comfortable with the staff, then you're going to have a very difficult time. Not thinking about monetization. We all have these great ideas, and we have to be very careful, particularly in this eco-friendly environment where we're looking at the social impact of our businesses, making sure that we are also considering how we're going to make money. Because regardless of what kind of organization or business you create, at the end of the day, you have to make money to sustain operations. So always thinking about monetization. Confusing solution and value proposition. Oh, so this is something that, I just talked about. Just making sure that you know what your value proposition is to the market. There we go. So the good news, being a business owner is definitely within your reach. So we know that. So the percent of freelance workers around the world is growing at 4% annually. This means that people are deciding that they need to have some type of either side business, or they're going into business for themselves as an entrepreneur. Not necessarily jumping into SME status, but more like MSME. And then founders of failed startups have 20% higher chance to succeed on their next venture over first-time startups. This is important. I think Chichi said it earlier, and I saw it in one of the videos that they were playing. Most of us are going to fail. I have failed multiple times when it comes to entrepreneurship and trying to get a business off the ground. And that's kind of part of the journey, right? Because you're learning after every opportunity that comes your way. I don't know a very successful entrepreneur that has not failed multiple times. And so, but knowing that failure is part of the path and part of the journey should only embolden you to keep going, because as the statistic says, 20% higher chance for you, if you fail, to come back and get it right the next time. And I tell you this, a lot of people take that to say, well, what if I don't fail on the first time? Well, you may not have failed through most of the process, but you're going to hit a wall at some point. And so don't become cocky because failure is kind of, a part of the journey. So it starts with the right mindset, right? I think Chichi had mentioned it earlier again, talking about capitalism and, being an American, I am a capitalist. And really all that means is that, our economic and political system is, designed so that trade and industry runs through private owners for profit rather than by the state. And that's how it is in most places in the world. And even for those societies and communities that are not practicing capitalism, the end result is you still have to raise money somehow so that you can fund whatever services you provide or fund, your personal pockets, whatever that is. And so in order to be a really good entrepreneur, you have to have the mindset of a capitalist. And then this is just another slide about that. All private sector enterprises start as an entrepreneurial venture. Even large global corporations, they all begin as some form of entrepreneurial capitalism. The capitalist mindset can be used to fuel entrepreneurial activity. So you just have to get in the game, right? So if you don't play the game, they say you can never expect to win. Now, what I will tell you are a few things. Number one, there are 17.5 million SMEs on the continent, which also account for 50% of industrial jobs and 90% of the manufacturing sector. There are only 400 companies that are greater than 1 billion USD annual revenue. So a fun fact, the continent spends 2 trillion USD a year. And so if there's only 400 companies that have over 1 billion in revenue, that means there's a lot more money to be made. So for you as an entrepreneur, there is money out there. And anyone that says there isn't, they're just trying to distract you and send you in a different direction. Entrepreneurship is the fastest economic way to push yourself out of poverty. And, we know that. Not just push yourself out of poverty, but then sustain that new lifestyle. And then another fact over here in the corner, you do not need a degree to be a business owner, but you need a degree to work for a lot of business owners. So let that one sink in. What that is saying is it doesn't matter where you are in life. If you decide that you want to be an entrepreneur, there is a possibility for you to be an entrepreneur. So, characteristics of entrepreneurs. This is important to me because there's 4 characteristics that I think are critical for you to be a successful entrepreneur. Fearless, right? So if you want to be a great entrepreneur, you have to do the things that everyone else is afraid to do. So be excited to invest in yourself and your business. A lot of times people are timid and hesitant to step out on the edge. But the reality is an entrepreneur cannot be risk adverse. You have to be comfortable getting out there and doing things that you may not have wanted to do in order to reach success. Don't let the naysayers dissuade you from chasing your dreams. So when people tell you something is impossible, they mean that it's impossible for them. Doesn't mean that it's impossible for you. Don't ever forget that. And ensure that your decisions are based on your hopes and dreams and not your fears. These things are just critical. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to try and hold you back and prevent you from getting ahead. And you have to have the courage to say, no, I'm not going to allow myself to be held by those. So stay hungry. So a tiger hunts best when he is hungry. So I remember, I always see on the Discovery Channel, the lions, and they're sitting out in the plains and they're laying there and all those people around them taking pictures and stuff. And I always thought, why aren't those lions actually attacking the people? And I realized it's because they're not hungry, because when they're hungry, nobody's around them. So the reality is when they're hungry, that's when they hunt the best. You have to stay hungry as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs don't get to keep office hours. We're always working. We work in the morning, we work at night, we work overnight. For someone like me, I'm working all day, and then I'm getting up early in the morning because many of the people that I'm talking to are on the continent. Sometimes they're in Asia. So I'm working all the time. Can't afford to settle because resources are typically scarce. That's exactly right. As entrepreneurs, particularly when we're just getting off as startups, there's not much in the bank. There's not many resources. Not too many people want to be on staff when you're not making money. So you have to make sure that you're stretching every dollar, that you're not settling for mediocrity when you pay for something, that you're really getting your return on investment every time you utilize some of your resources. And then if you don't want your business more than everyone else, you risk losing that business. I will tell you that there is competition out there, and there is competition everywhere. Whenever I hear from an entrepreneur and they say, oh, well, this is a new concept. No, there's no competition yet. It hasn't hit the market. I'm thinking, no. There's always competition out there, and they're always looking to take whatever you can gain. So if you can go out there and get 50 customers, those other competitors are just waiting for you to acquire the customers, and then they're going to come and try and steal them from you if you're not paying attention. Always stay positive. You know, and they say a smile breaks down all barriers. And that's so true. You know, there will be no shortage of negativity through your journey. So you have to stay positive all the time. When I logged on this morning, I was talking to Chi-Chi, and one of the things that I felt from her was just this positive energy about how the day was going to go and how the day was going. And that's so important as a leader, as an entrepreneur, to always stay positive, because there will be people that tell you no. There will be people that kind of brush you to the side and dismiss you. And so staying positive is so important for your own well-being. Don't lose sight of objectives. Write down your goals and review them. It is okay to make sure you write down all the things that you want to accomplish on a paper. Put them on your wall. Make sure that you carry them with you all the time. Excuse me. Find your happy place, a place to vent and release your stress. As an entrepreneur, I don't know how many of you guys do this, but this is so important. Find a place that you can get away from everyone, from everything, to just vegetate and to think about what it is that stresses you out. It might be an auntie's house or a cousin's house, somewhere where you know you can go get a warm meal that makes you feel comforted. You know, wherever that might be, find that place that no one else knows about, that you can just disappear to once a month or so, just so that you can go and re-energize. Because every entrepreneur is going to hit a wall or hit an obstacle that is going to really try and break you down. So you need to have a place to go and rejuvenate. A true visionary is a lonely person. You know, yes, get comfortable being by yourself as an entrepreneur. You know, most people cannot see your vision right away. And although it's in your head, and you can see it clearly, it's really up to you to figure out how to take that picture in your head and start to paint it in a manner that allows other people to understand where you're going with your organization. And remember to update your vision with details that are revealed over time. Yes, that vision is going to change. So over time, over months, over a year, there will be different aspects that come into your vision, and make sure that you're communicating those aspects to not just your team, but to your customers and to your stakeholders. Entrepreneurs and their ideas. So those were the 4 characteristics that I think are very important for all entrepreneurs. But then it's really, okay, so now that you know what the characteristics are, you know kind of what the underlying skill sets are, you know, how do you come up with an idea? Well, identify an unresolved problem, and then you create a value proposition that aligns with your solution. And if you truly want to change something, stop focusing on what is there now and think about what you want to be there. So I have a couple of examples, and one of them you should recognize, or many of you might recognize. So I have always been in awe with, the waste or create mantra and kind of how it came to be, from my perspective. But here you had some entrepreneurs, Chi leading the charge, who saw a problem in near her home with pollution and all of this trash on beaches and things like that. And she built this business model to address it. So she went out and she found some other like-minded people. They collected and cleaned recyclables, and then they started to create art and challenge artists to reuse some of the material. And then they actually took the things that they were able to recreate with the material and resell it back into the community. So art, furniture, toys, these are all things that we see from the Waste to Create movement. And I just think it was a really great business model. It was important for me to pick this as one of the examples, because I know that being an eco-friendly platform that we're talking about, everyone's talking about the social impact. But just because you're going to have a social impact does not mean that you're not here to make money. And so she was able to take this this initiative and this movement and turn it around so that it not only had a social impact, but that it also delivered a revenue generator. So here's another example. So we had a young lady in Kenya who looked around and saw another need, a need for various products, cleaning products and things like that. And so what she did is she went to Procter & Gamble and created a distribution agreement with them to acquire products. And then she went out she went up country and she kind of went out to the outskirts of the city and started to sell the products to mothers, stay-at-home mothers, at a discounted rate. So she took some of the money and then she actually sold the product to those mothers. And then those mothers can then turn around and take the product and move it out even further up country, where it was very difficult to get some of the of these types of cleaning supplies and sanitary supplies. And so now she has a very extensive network of stay-at-home mothers who promote entrepreneurship, sell products, and build income. Now, here in the US, we call this a pyramid scheme. But the reality is this was really an amazing idea, because it was an innovative model that allowed them to get products that were needed into communities where they weren't getting them, and for underrepresented entrepreneurs to be able to start their own freelancing businesses. So entrepreneurship is all about exploiting opportunities. And those are the two examples that we just talked about. The opportunities reveal themselves if you just study your environment. There's always problems in our lives that can be solved, just like in the video that was playing earlier. You have to investigate how people are dealing with those problems right now. Test your thoughts with others, research existing competition, and decide if there's enough evidence for you as an entrepreneur to move forward. And then finally, you have to lay out the path that exploits those opportunities. And don't worry, because there's so much time between the beginning of your journey and the end of your journey to kind of revise that path over and over again based on shifts in the market. So now we're talking about the marketplace. So we've gotten to the point where we've talked about entrepreneurship. We're all kind of on the same page. And we're starting to understand the mindset of a successful entrepreneur. And now we've gotten to this point where we're talking about digital marketplaces and whether they're right for you. Probably, everyone could probably benefit, in a digital marketplace somehow. But there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them that have advantages, and there's disadvantages to them. And you really have to study those and kind of figure out what that means. But let me just talk to you about digital marketplaces as a whole and give you guys some information, statistics. So growth of e-commerce. So 4.66 billion people are active internet users every month. So that's almost 60% of the global population. An average of 1.3 million new users joined social media every day in 2020. So that's 15.5 new users every single second of 2020. That's how fast this is growing. And then online consumer spending, this is what's important for you guys, in 2020 was up 44% year over year. Now, we know that because of COVID, more people were buying things online, but no one expects that to revert back the other way. People found that it was easier, that many online markets were more trustworthy than they thought, and they become comfortable with it. So it's unlikely that they're going to stop spending online. So let's talk about the growth of eco-friendly demand. So here's where it's a little bit more relevant. So 45% of consumers 18 to 34 indicated their desire to purchase goods produced in an eco-friendly way versus 14% of consumers 55 and over. So as people get older, the demand for eco-friendly products is expected to go up. Consumers looking for eco-friendly products are prepared to spend 5% more for environmentally friendly goods. So that means if all things are equal, if you have, I don't know, a pair of shoes that you're selling and someone else has a pair of shoes and the quality is about the same, but yours are eco-friendly somehow, someone will come and spend 5% more for yours than your competitor. So that's something to think about when you're looking at your pricing strategy. Consumers are more likely to purchase specific items from eco-friendly brands. So cleaning products, 42%, drinks, 37%, prepackaged foods, 35%, cosmetics and toiletries, 34%, clothing, 31%, and even cars, 29%. So if you can find your product list within one of these areas, you have a sense of the demand for those products. So market level benefits. So, digital products and sales are very well accepted by the public, and consumer confidence all over the continent is growing every day. The e-commerce activity that you create on a digital marketplace can coexist with your in-person business model. And there's minimal, if any, initial infrastructure or fixed costs with a digital platform, unlike a brick and mortar. So if you're selling packaged foods online, it's a little bit different than if you have a brick and mortar and you are, packaging foods and selling it out of your storefront. Entrepreneur level benefits. So, there's an expanded customer reach, right? So more than 50% of the global population now has internet access. We just talked about that. It's actually closer to 60%. You have the ability to scale much easier because, you don't have to increase your fixed costs in order to increase your volume and your sales. There's flexibility. It's actually huge. Because entrepreneurs can work when it's right for them to work. It doesn't mean that you're half-hearted in your effort. It just means that you can pick the right times to work. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is I'm on the call with clients on the continent all the time. Well, okay, so it might make sense for me to work at 2 in the morning, 2 to 6 in the morning, and be able to be there first thing in the morning for some of my clients that are in East Africa. And another entrepreneur level benefit, there's no need for previous knowledge or expertise to get started in an online platform. So, these platforms are very user friendly and, aren't difficult for you to get going. So, it's really about examining the digital landscape to understand, what your digital marketplace needs are. Excuse me. So digitalization leads to globalization. We're just going to talk about this for a moment, but I want to make sure that we cover this concept. So the reason organizations enter a digital marketplace or utilize digital marketing is really to expand their reach, right? So while local digital presence is great, the ability to sell to a broader target is critical to compete. And that's why that's why you use a digital marketplace. That's why organizations undertake this digitalization model. But there's three things that I implore you to consider. The first one is cultural barriers. So the first one, ensure that your business model can expose any local vulnerabilities and be sure to test your channel strategy. Investigate local customs, traditions, openness to foreign commerce. This requires acquisition of local insight, potential boots on the ground. And the reason I say this is you have to know where your brand is traveling, because as soon as you jump into this digitalization, your brand begins to travel outside of your local area. And if you're traveling into other countries, you need to understand how your brand is viewed in other countries and whether or not you're missing opportunities to expand your business or to prevent challenges to your business. So understand what the barriers might be outside of your local area. The second thing, cash considerations. I cannot stress this enough. All currency is not made equal. So, define a strategy for, exchanging local currency to your preferred currency if need be. So if you're going to go onto a platform, that's great. Usually they will address the conversions. But if you're not, if you're just, creating your own online or digital website where you're selling products outside of your country, understand how that's going to work. Understand how people view their currency and whether or not it's easy to get currency out of another country into your country. These kinds of things are so important. And you have to account for any loss from currency conversion and build back that into your cost structure to ensure that you have minimal impact to your business model. And then socioeconomic influencers. So assess your risk prior to entering into any new market. Once you move into global markets, you need to understand what's out there. You need to evaluate any political stability issues. You need to assess the level of technology adoption by other countries and other regions, and just really the ease of doing business in a foreign market by a foreign country, by a foreign company. These are things that are important to know before. Not just before globalization, but before digitalization. Because once you go digital, now your brand is starting to travel in places that you may not have control over, and you need to know where it's traveling to and whether or not there is any type of profound impact to your business. So things I need to know. So 4 things that I think are important for every entrepreneur to do. And those are: share your story often. I can't express how important it is for you to tell everyone, hey, I have a business, I make custom shoes, and when you're looking for another pair of custom shoes, make sure you think about me. Okay. Share your story often so that people will remember it and file it away, so that when the time comes for them to buy shoes, they're thinking, oh yeah, I remember that guy who sold shoes. You never know who you're standing next to. You never know who you're talking to. You might open up another door. Do as much as you possibly can yourself. So we're consultants. We do a lot of strategy consulting. We do a lot of management consulting. We do organizational assessments and all that kind of stuff. But before you ever come to someone like me, try and do as much as you can yourself. Remember what I said earlier. Investors are always looking for people who save their money and are frugal with their money. And you should never come to me unless you have a very specific ROI in mind. So do as much as you can. Be disciplined and show restraint. Watch how you spend your money, and not just how you spend your money, but also how you look at your business. You know, if what I do is make shoes, I don't want to go out and start making shirts and clothes and stuff like that. Being disciplined also means staying in your lane, staying focused, and perfecting the product that you have in front of you before you start going on to the next product line. Identify a mentor. This is so important. I have a mentor. Most people I know have, entrepreneurs I know have a mentor. Mentored startups grow 3.5 times faster and raise 7 times more money than those without a mentor. It's important to find someone who can help keep you on track, that can remind you of the purpose of your business, and that can provide you insight into what the journey is like. So those are 4 things that I think are important for every entrepreneur. But now we'll talk about 4 things that you got to focus on in order to really get your business not just off the ground, but moving. So number 1, and I'm just checking the time. Okay, we're okay. Excuse me. Simplify your idea. Can you effectively explain your product or service? Do people understand your vision and goals when you speak to them? This is important because if they can't, then that means your idea is not simple enough. So make sure you look at how you are pitching your idea and how you're describing your idea, and make sure that even a child understands it and can repeat it to you. Can you explain your product or business to people in 30 seconds? So everyone knows about the elevator pitch, right? If you get into an elevator, you have 30 seconds before that person gets off. Can you explain your business model in that 30 seconds in a manner that they walk away knowing what your business is? If not, then your business idea, your idea is not simple enough. Make sure your vision is so clear that someone else can explain it to others. Hey, my name is Bruce. I sell custom leather shoes. Okay, so now the person who I just said that to, that I go in the office, say, yeah, I just met this guy named Bruce. He sells custom leather shoes. Very simple. May not be ideal, may not be what you get excited about, but there it is. You've explained it, and they can actually go back and repeat it to someone else. Perfect your product or service. So people come up with this product or their solution and whatever value they think they have in it, and they think they're done. But that's not how it works. I don't know how many of you guys have iPhones. Well, iPhone is, I don't even know what number it's on, 12, 20, 30, whatever it is. Well, that means that they had all those iterations before they got to this point. So they're constantly perfecting their product. They're constantly adding things, subtracting things, changing it, making sure that they're adhering to the challenges of the market. So you, as an entrepreneur, should expect several iterations prior to launching your product, and even more iterations after you launch your product. Attain feedback by sampling your product or through customer reviews, and then you fine tune your product or services. And then finally, consider how product value perception dictates customer acquisition, price point, and commitment to your brand. Marketing is critical. Nobody's going to buy your product if they don't know about it. So yes, marketing is critical. And marketing, there's all kinds of ways you can market, whether it's through social media, whether it's through flyers, whether it's through email, word of mouth, whatever it is. Marketing is critical, and you have to use as many communication points as possible. Whether it's events and conferences or workshops like this, whatever it is, make sure that you're always marketing your business and your products. And then always consider asking your friends and families to share your flyers and share your marketing systems with their own networks. And then the fourth thing that is critical for every entrepreneur, identifying your financing strategy. So if you can save enough money to get your business off the ground, then that's great. And that's what we call bootstrapping. So in many cases, that's what people have to do because there's not a lot of other options. But then if you move on to the next level, then maybe you're asking friends and family for some support to kind of help you get off the ground, that kind of thing. If not, can you provide enough data to warrant an investment? Investors also want to know that you know your numbers. So, for instance, if you're not able to raise the money you need to launch your business through just yourself and or family and friends in your personal network, focus on the prototype. Focus on just getting a sample or a model together in order to then go to potential investors. What are you willing to sacrifice to acquire financing? This is an important question that every entrepreneur, SME has to ask themselves. Am I looking to add debt? Will I reduce owner equity? What does that look like? And you need to understand and know what you're comfortable with prior to going to a VC, an angel, a bank, or what have you. So I get this question all the time, business plan or no business plan. And it really depends on your needs. But I would suggest at least a business canvas, just a 9-point model that, describes what your business is. It almost becomes a one-page business plan, right? A business canvas. And then these are the things that investors are looking for when you come to them. So you better have something that answers these questions. What your startup experience is. Have you started other businesses? Have you failed at them? What did you learn? What is your experience in the industry? Do you have a network that you are going to rely on to help you really grow this business out? Are you motivated? Do you have a story to tell? Any functional expertise? Are you charismatic? Do you have the power of persuasion? And if you can answer those questions, or if internally and have very solid answers, they will help you go a long way in getting investment. So we're coming to the end. Here's a couple of things that we could do if you guys need help or are looking for support. We have a book out there. Chichi had mentioned it, called Making Dough: A Young Entrepreneur's Tale. It's really for pre-accelerator type entrepreneurs that are just trying to get started and need some assistance. It's a good book. It's an hour read. We just launched the Innovations Factory for online entrepreneurship training. And in that, on that platform, we have a Foundations for Entrepreneurship course. We also have a pitch preparation course. And then later on this month, we're going to be releasing 2 additional courses, one on business modeling and one on legal structures. And then we have some other courses that the content is actually done, and it'll be released in April. So if you guys need more assistance or find that you need more help than what those 2 resources can offer, please feel free to contact us. We support a number of clients on the continent, all over the continent actually, and so we can talk. So that's the end of the presentation, but I really wanted to make sure that we open this up for questions, because as you look at your own individual journey, I'm sure you have very specific questions or things that you would love to hear about. Okay. So.
Thank you so much. Wow, this presentation has been really insightful. I don't know about anybody, but for me, it's always like listening to Dr. Bruce go through, the principles of what it means to be an entrepreneur in this era. I can't seem to have to learn enough. Please, if you have any questions, do well to raise your hands virtually, or you can just put your questions on the chat and then we answer. Utilize this opportunity as much as possible. Honestly, please ask all the questions. I see some people on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for joining. This has been really very interactive for us. So please, I would appreciate if we can ask our questions on the chat. If you want, you can probably raise your hand and you'll be given the opportunity to unmute yourself and ask your questions as well. Thank you. And please remember, the next session will kick off at exactly 4 o'clock. We'll be talking about principles of creating recurring sales channels for your businesses. For some of us who are looking at new ways at which we can expand our business model to increase sale. You don't want to miss the next session with Connie Smith. It starts exactly 4 o'clock. But for now, please, let's have your questions. Any questions? Efe, Pascal, Listoel, this is the time to ask you all of your questions. And you can also, those of us on YouTube and on Twitter, please at us with your questions as well, and then we'll read it out for you. I'm quickly checking YouTube if any of the questions has popped up. One moment, please. Okay. So I have a question that said, how easy would it for a small SME and MSMEs to build capacity to raise money without track records? So you spoke about the importance of saving their money and all, but then sometimes when you're looking to raise money, there's usually like this challenge of having enough bank record to prove that you can actually utilize that money for your business. So how can a small business raise money without little or no financial capacity in terms of backing for that?
It really depends. There's a lot of ways to raise money. Banks, I tend to stay away from banks because the interest rates are so high, and I don't see necessarily the value. So there's 2 things that I would suggest if you're just starting off as an MSME or an entrepreneur. Number one, do you have the network that can provide financial support? So, do you belong to an organization or a church or whatever that says, hey, you know what, I'm starting my business. and I'm asking everyone to donate and help me get my business off the ground. So if you do, then that's great, because those are the people that believe in you and know you and trust that you're going to go and do it. And they know that because you've come to them, you're not going to go out and just fail. You're not going to go out and not do the work. So if you come back and you say it did not work, they know that you have tried. So that's one way. The other way is, if you don't have that network or you're not comfortable there, then identify a network that you can tap into, like an incubator or an accelerator, or some type of entrepreneurial hub, that their whole model is about building a network of potential investors and things like that. And then take your idea through an accelerator program so that you can fine tune that idea before trying to solicit capital. And now if you think, hey, you know what, my idea is perfect, and it's ready to go. I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Bruce. Then go to a bank and take your idea to them and say, hey, I have this idea. I want to launch, company X, and I've thought through all of the aspects of the business. And they'll quickly tell you whether or not you have something or you don't, And even if you get to the point where they say, yes, I like your idea, we're willing to give you $10,000 for it. Now you have an idea that's bankable. So you don't have to take the money, but now in your head that it's bankable. So now you can go and maybe look at other ways. And there's like I said, there's other ways. So like I said, if it's not an organization, I don't know. Do they? Do you guys use Totin in Ghana? No. Okay. Well, and so in several other countries they'll use Totin. Like in Cameroon, they use Totin. But if not Totin, then maybe it's an investment pool or an accelerator or what have you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. That's a very, very, very important question. So we have another question from Pascal Ikechuku. He said, how many percentage do you need to save or put aside from your income? And two, why is it that more 50% of business don't last for up to 5 years? What is the missing link?
Okay. So how percentage to put aside from your income, from your personal income or from your business income? What are we talking about?
So I think this is pretty much from, I don't know if it's the business income or the personal income. Pascal, can you please clarify what income you're talking about? Okay. So I'm sure possibly he's typing in the chat, but I think it possibly could be maybe from, because you're talking about self-funding, right? To the point where, yes, I think that's probably what he's talking about. I'm sure he said from your business income.
Oh, from business. Yeah. Okay. So absolutely. So when you build out your business model, you start to do your forecasting for your 2 years, 3 years, whatever many years out that you're looking at. You definitely want to save a percentage of your income that can then be reinvested into the business or at least placed into a savings. So we use a 75-25 rule. 75 for your business, 25 goes into the savings, so that it will help you for those up and down periods that you'll have as a business. If you can get to the 25% rule, then you're doing something good. And what I will say is, a lot of companies or a lot of entrepreneurs will come to me and say, well, I can't save that much. I can't save that much. Well, I will argue with them that you need to look at your cost and find ways to reduce your cost or to streamline your processes so that you can save that amount of money and put that back into your business. The other thing is, as an entrepreneur, and this is very, very difficult for many entrepreneurs, be careful of the draw of founders. So as a founder, if there's 1, 2, or 3 of you guys, make sure that you're very careful not to draw a salary immediately from your business. Let your business get off the ground before you start drawing a salary. A couple of reasons. One, because you're going to need every penny to get your business off the ground and launch it. But two, when you do go to an investor and a banker, they love seeing that you're not drawing off of the money. They love seeing that, hey, these guys have raised $10,000 in sales and they're completely focused on just putting it back in the business. So by the time that, and so they're more likely to also loan you money because they feel that you are being frugal with the money that you already have. And then the other part of the question was, so why are so many businesses not making it past 5 years? Well, not making it past 3 years. So a few different reasons. One of the reasons that we find that businesses don't make it is because earlier in my presentation, we talked about solution versus value proposition. Most entrepreneurs and startups don't realize that they're offering a solution, but they're not offering a value. And so again, the problem is that people, need to eat, right? Everyone needs to eat. And so you go and you create a restaurant and you make, pizza, well, no, forget pizza, jollof, right? You make jollof. so I gotta remember where I am. So everybody makes jollof, right? Everyone makes it, and I don't care. Everyone thinks they make the best. Everyone makes the best. So everyone has the solution. Everyone is providing it to people who are hungry. But there's no, if you're not bringing any value, but do you make jollof that has, seasonings that nobody has? Do you make jollof that, is produced at an orphanage where we've given them jobs to participate in the business? What value are you bringing that resonate with people, that gives them a, oh my gosh, I am connected to that business, And so most times entrepreneurs are not thinking about that. They're not thinking about the value proposition that they're offering the community. They're only thinking about the solution, and you got to get away from that. So that's one reason that most businesses fail. The other reason that businesses fail is mismanagement of money. The thing that people don't think about is, there's levels to this game, right? So you're not just going in there and you go sell a product and then you get money. Like, you really have to think through the long term. How are you going to account for the volatility of a local economy? And if you look backwards, anyone can tell you that every economy is volatile. And so, so for instance, right now, we're just coming through COVID. Here in America, I just saw a statistic that said that 60% of Black-owned businesses in the United States are not coming out of COVID. They won't make it. They were not prepared for it. They didn't have the savings. They were living kind of check to check. They weren't prepared for the shift in the market, those kinds of things. And that's here in the US, where you have a very strong economy. Now, you can look across the world and see that, it's happening everywhere. So, not managing your finances in a way that prepares you when these types of things happen. And those are usually the two of the reasons. And the third reason that I see a lot of why businesses fail is the founding team can't keep it together. So if you're a solopreneur, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to get past 3 years. You're going to get burned out, and it's very hard. If you are a team of founders, someone wants to go off and do their own thing, or you have differences of opinion, that kind of thing, that can be a huge challenge.
Amazing. Pascal said, wow, thank you for the wisdom. I am grateful, sir. So I think that your response really hit it right to where Pascal wants. And he says again, thank you for that. Please, 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 like I said, I have had the opportunity to be working with Dr. Bruce for a while now, and he's not cheap. So let's use this opportunity and get all the answers to all of the pressing questions that we might have with regards to funding, opportunities, scaling up, managing teams, no limitation. He's talking holistically the importance of entrepreneurship and how you can continue to manage, especially because we're in a very interesting ecosystem, being an eco business. Our system, and I think that will bring me to my next question to you, Dr. Bruce. I really want to know, is the market, because every day I try to reaffirm myself and tell people to say, look, the untapped market for eco entrepreneurship, not just in Africa, but globally, is still huge. So we need a lot of people to start innovating radically, to experimenting, prototyping, and really testing the market so that when push comes to shove in another 5-10 years, like the way COVID hit us, and we're trying to like grab, and that's the same way climate change will hit us and all of the issues with environmental challenges will hit us, and we would have no choice but to start radically. And maybe by then it will be too late. So maybe you can share a little bit about, what are the possibilities, what are the opportunities for eco-entrepreneurship, not just in the continent, but globally, and how are funders, so you are in the space where you have the opportunity to fund people, you're advising governments, stakeholders, capitalists to look at where they put their money. Is there a conversation for eco-entrepreneurship in that subject? So that our eco-entrepreneurs here will really have that affirmation in their heart to say, look, they're in the right direction, but they need to do what? Do this, do that, and come up right up in the ladder.
Okay. So there's a couple of factors that are working in all of your favors. Number one, there is the same amount of cash in the world today to go right before COVID. So now all these people who have closed their shops and their businesses and all that type of stuff, they've given up. There's money there though, right? So say there's $5 trillion in the air, okay, and everyone gets to take some of that every day of the year. But all of a sudden, 30%, 40% of the businesses just stop grabbing the money. Well, the money is still there. So for you guys who are still in the game, there's still something for you to go out and grab. So don't be discouraged, because in fact, you should be encouraged, because now the opportunity is greater, right? For those that are thinking about staying in the game, you're also realizing, oh, there is money out there. Right now, our firm is doing better than we did, a year ago, because a lot of our competitors have walked away. So we're going to take advantage of that and exploit that opportunity. In terms of, eco entrepreneurs, the world is shifting. A lot of people are getting older, and although their mindset was not thinking about the future, you have this millennials and this Gen Z. They're seeing the value of eco-friendly products, and they understand the importance of them and are willing to spend money on them. Generation Alpha, which is right behind Gen Z, they're seeing it too. And actually, they're going to be your fighters. They're going to be the ones that are coming right behind. And so when you look at 5 years from now, as the baby boomers are all kind of just fading away, you'll really start to see an increase in purchasing power by those three generations. Now, you ask, will it be too late? The world has a funny way of fixing itself. So this whole COVID thing that, and I'm not a scientist, but the interesting thing about this COVID is we as a globe have been constantly pushing climate change over the last 5-6 years, and people have been talking about it. One thing that COVID did is shut everything down. It started to reverse some of the effects, right? Because nobody was out traveling, cars weren't running, there wasn't trash out there. I mean, it just changed fundamentally so many things for so many people. And so my point is, whether or not it was man-made or whatever, the world has a way of fixing itself. And so I don't necessarily worry too much about whether or not it's going to be too late. We'll figure that part out as we need to figure it out. The third part you asked about was, advising governments and things like that. Well, in the last year, I haven't worked with any government. So I haven't worked with the team in Rwanda. I haven't worked with the government in Kenya because, COVID has been a little bit crazy and our world has just been different. But I do read reports, and I'm still trying to stay up on the latest and greatest. And for the most part, led kind of by the Paris Climate Accord, you see that governments are recognizing what needs to be done. And I think you'll see over the next 2 or 3 years, not just the recognition of what needs to be done, but that the plans that they have in place are not even strong enough. And you'll see a push by progressives to strengthen those plans. So here in the US, we just coming out of a very conservative government and presidency, but we see a huge progressive movement that is shifting the mindset of many of the US citizens, and we know that we need to do more. And so I'm confident that we will. Excuse me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel like you explained that, really, really well and really, really clearly. I always keep encouraging young eco-entrepreneurs and say, look, it looks like it's a small market, but give it another year or two, you would become a premium because everybody wants something eco-friendly. That's just all everybody's looking out for, nothing more, nothing less. And if you build structures now and build system now, when that time comes, it's like technology. And a lot of people feel like, we can be static, we don't care. And then COVID hits and everybody's trying to create a website overnight. Everybody wants some technological communication process and channel. So that's the same way it would happen. So let's just hang in there, continue to develop our skills, tap into the opportunities that Secular Place and Waste Create is providing you, utilize your network. I think Dr. Britt has really covered 360 everything. Network. I've been asking you guys on this chart, put your description, who you are, what you do on the chat. And you never know who's there and who needs to collaborate and partner with you. So this is the time for us to start taking that initiative. I think I have one last question. I don't know if it's the last, but maybe somebody else want to ask a question. Rekia, a few other people who are on now, please ask your questions on the chat. Any question in relation to entrepreneurship, any challenges you're currently facing in your business, and let's take this opportunity and get clarity from Dr. Bruce. So the question is from Juliet, and she said, who qualifies to be an entrepreneur? Is entrepreneurship for everyone? It's a very interesting question.
So, the answer is no. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And anyone who tells you it is, unfortunately hasn't lived the journey. What I will tell you is that it's not for everyone, but there might be an opportunity to be an entrepreneur for everyone. So, there's a lot of characteristics that go into being an entrepreneur, and we kind of went through those, the visionary, that kind of thing, the fearless, person, and so you as an individual have to look at those characteristics and say, yeah, that's me. I'm there or I'm not there. You have to have some very honest, conversations about, who you are and what you want to accomplish. But what I will say is, if you decide that you want to be an entrepreneur, there is enough training out there. There are enough activities out there for you to practice to become an entrepreneur. But as it stands now, no, not everyone can come, right out of bed and be an entrepreneur. And I don't want to mislead anyone into that. And the other thing that I had said earlier is, entrepreneurship is hard. It is hard. It is a grind, and they don't, no one tells you all the times that you're going to sit in your room and cry. No one tells you that kind of stuff. No one tells you how you're going to lock yourself in the bathroom and not want to come out. They don't tell you these things. And Chichi, you and I had these conversations. Like, nobody tells you that you want to go and hurt somebody. Nobody tells you that somebody's going to steal money from you, or they're going to, no one tells you these kinds of things. Because those aren't the glamorous, sexy attributes of entrepreneurship. Nobody tells you these things. So, I'll tell you these things. That's you have to decide, are you ready to go, come through the fire and see if you're worthy to come out on the other side. Because no one's going to tell you those things. So, can everyone be an entrepreneur? Not off the bat, but it doesn't mean that you can't work towards it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Speaking from experience, some days I ask myself, oh, really, is this what I want to do with my life? I can just really go get a job at a multinational and get paid and just live my glamorous life, however, but not cracking my head and wondering how I'm going to pay my employees, how I'm going to get them motivated, how I'm going to pay my bills, And it's interesting because when you start the journey of entrepreneurship, especially in the space of eco-entrepreneurship, because sometimes I tell people, oh, I'm a social entrepreneur, I'm an eco-entrepreneur. They're like, what do you mean by that? And then you have to start educating them on what your kind of entrepreneurship entails. And really, I feel like people are really underestimating the importance of eco-entrepreneurs, especially in the continent, Africa. So we are in the right direction if you're already in the space. If you're not, do well to find support systems. If I'm to add that to what Dr. Bruce has just said, support systems are everything. I have been privileged to have in my network for more than 6 years now. And I must tell you that I still go crying and say, look, I don't know where to start from. Can you help me? And it's okay to ask for help. You don't always have to post the glamorous pictures. You don't always have to put the glamorous part of your entrepreneurial journey. You need to put some parts where you're hungry, you're tired, and you're sad, and you need people to support you. And maybe just right there, you will find somebody who is committed to your work, who can say, look, I can help you, I can support you, or I can advise you. We live in a generation where everybody's looking for money and nobody's looking for talent and support and nobody's looking for skill. And if we ask a lot of entrepreneurs today, what is their biggest challenge? Everybody will scream money. But once you have all the money, you don't have the right people to work with, then your money is as good as nothing. You can be paying them thousands of dollars in cedis and naira. And at the end of the day, they can get the job done for you and you become way more frustrated than you are already. So you need to look at the balance, like he's talked about, building your team, enabling your team, building structures, building capacity, so that when you're ready, people would come to you, investments would come to you. Even your business alone can be scaled, to the point where opportunities just start rushing to you. So this has really been a very, very insightful session for especially me. I don't know about you guys because you're not speaking. So please let us know if you have any more questions. We have a few more minutes left. This is the time to take it. If you want to unmute yourself, kindly do that now and ask your question. Once again, the next session kicks off at 4 p.m. We'll be talking to an amazing, amazing entrepreneur and one of the leading consultants in sales for any kind of business. So please do want to join at 4 p.m. right after this session. We'll be talking to her and she'll be taking us through how to ensure you encourage sales in your business. Any more questions? I could just pause a little bit. Christiana, F.A., Lestoel, Pascal, I think you've asked the question, but if you have another one, you can take the opportunity. Okay. Let me check YouTube as well, just to be sure. I haven't missed anyone out.
That's fine. And if not, you guys feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can, feel free to shoot a message. I'm a little slow to get back, but I do try and get back.
Absolutely. Yes, and we will do well to share with you Dr. Bruce's contact. If you can actually just Google his name, you find it on LinkedIn, very easy. Leave a message, and if you need us to make a direct connection, we can also make an introduction to him officially on your behalf, and then you can kick off your conversations with them. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Bruce, for this time. We appreciate you on behalf of the Waste to Great team, the MasterCard Foundation. Thank you for your time. And we'll be knocking on your door again soon. We know this is not the last time we're seeing your face,
Oh my goodness.
but this has really, really been impactful. Thank you so, so much.
All right, take care. Best of luck to everyone.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone, thank you. The next session will start at 4 o'clock with Connie Smith.
You should be optimistic, always optimistic. A great entrepreneur is optimistic for the future. And you have to ask what problem you can solve, how you solve it, different from the others, why you can do better than the others.
Who would like to join to also join the call at 4. Thank you so much.
Executive Chairman of Alibaba Group, Jack Ma.
You should be optimistic, always optimistic. A great entrepreneur is optimistic for the future. And you have to ask what problem you can solve, how you solve it that's different from the others, why you can do better than the others. You have to find a group of people working together with you. Those people believe the same vision. Those people coming to join you not because it's a job. It's because they believe the dream, they believe the mission, and they believe the vision. And don't have to find, there's no best people in the world. There's the best people is always working with you in your team. And train the team, work with the team, the team also will train you. Do not think what I will get. You have to ask what I will give. Shall I win in 3 years or 10 years? If you have a great idea, prepare for 10 years. You're lucky if you win in 1 year. But most people will not have this opportunity. Don't say, I want to win next month. I will succeed next year. Impossible. Forget about it. If you think I will win this in 3 years, prepare for 5 years. My first round money I gathered from 18 founders, $50,000 US. We thought this $50,000 can last for 10 months. We even count every cent we spent, but only last less than 4 months. We're almost bankrupt. When you know what will you give up, then you will be able to get something. One of the reasons why we succeed 18 years ago because internet was not hot at that time. E-commerce was so cold. Nobody believed it, but we believe it. We don't care what other people say. We think it has a future. We think it will help people. So we started. When everybody say yes, there's no chance for you. So be unique. Use your mind, think why you can do better, why you can do different, why you can last for 10 years, while the other people can only last for 1 year. Don't wait for the environment to be ready. Don't wait for all the policy ready. When everything's ready, there's no opportunity for you. You have to move faster before the government take action. You know, if I do this, if the government say everything's ready, you should move to the other area because there's no chance for you.
It is the #1 skill of an entrepreneur. If you can't sell, you suck, you know? And the reason I mention Asians, I am very shy. Very, very shy. You know, I came back from Vietnam and I could kill people, but I couldn't talk to people. And one day I said to when I decided to follow my rich dad's footsteps, I just said to him, I want to be an entrepreneur. He says, you got one problem. I said, what's that? I said, you're shy. I said, what's wrong with being shy? He says, you got to sell. You got to handle rejection. Number one skill. Can you handle rejection? Answer is no, I couldn't handle it. So I said, I still want to learn how to sell. So this was in 1973, I was 25 years old. And my rich dad said, how's your love life? I said, it sucks. He said, you getting laid? And I said, no. He says, because you can't sell. Guys got it? So when I talk about what skill do you need, when the shit hits the fan, you better start selling. You know, if you're a PhD, it means nothing. Nothing. If you have no job. I know that because that was my dad. So for those of you in network marketing, join it. Not in it, join it. Stay with it for 5 years. The best education you can get. Can you handle rejection? Okay. And I understand racism. Maybe not the same kind of racism as the African American or the Africans and all that. But being Japanese after Pearl Harbor wasn't a real treat, you know what I mean? A lot of people would not talk to me because we were at Pearl Harbor. So the Muslims today are not 9/11. So I understand racism. What my rich dad said to me, he says, money does not discriminate. If you're smart, you have money. If you're stupid, you don't have money. It doesn't care what color you are, age you are, race, religion, gender. So the reason I recommend this education is you've got to learn certain skills. You must learn the internet today. You know, I hire guys to do my internet for me. I'm not smart at it, but I have the money to hire them because I can sell. If you can't sell, why waste your time? So I went to work for Xerox in 1974 so I could learn how to sell. It took me 4 years, and I was #1. Okay? And today I'm a best-selling author. You know, most PhDs tell me I can't write. Yes, I said I can't write, but I can't sell. If you can't sell, you don't make money, period. End of statement. You know, just because you have a product doesn't mean jack shit. But the important thing is you start. You know, I don't care what product you start with, but you start. You know, I started off with nylon wallets. Success wiped me out. You know, we couldn't sell, and all of a sudden it took off. Then I couldn't finance because the sales kept going through the roof. Now, trouble is I kept borrowing and I couldn't sustain the sales. Next lesson. But that's how we learn. Okay? So if you're afraid of making mistakes, stay in school. You'll do very well there. You're afraid of making mistakes, get a job. You'll do very well there. But you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to make mistakes. Everybody clear on that? Hello, do you understand that? So it really doesn't matter where you start, just that you start. You will, on day one, find out everything you do not know. And there's a lot of it. And that's why I have a team.
Hi, Connie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Chi-Chi. Hello.
Hi, welcome. Can we quickly test your presentation? Can you attempt sharing so that we can know that you're good to go? And then once it's 4, we'll wait a little bit to have a lot more people join, and then we'll start.
Perfect. Does that look like you guys can see that?
Absolutely, we can see it 100%.
Super.
Okay, would you be using video?
I would, yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize that I was off. I'll be going backwards and forwards. So let me stop sharing.
Okay.
And let me get on.
I can test to see that you are. Yay! Okay.
Lovely to see your face.
Lovely to see you too. We have some participants still on.
Wonderful.
So they can't wait for your session. So we just go all off now, and then once it's 4, we can kickstart the conversation. Does that sound good?
Sounds really good. Thank you, Chi-Chi.
Thank you. Samuel, please, can you continue with the video? Thank you.
Perfect.